So most of my dating experience comes from long distance dating. And because it's long distance, I have to drive many hours to go see them. And there was this implicit understanding that because I'm paying in the form of time and gas, that the other party would basically host me in their city. For example, when we go out to eat, I would still offer to pay for at least my portion of the check, but my date would often stop me and insist that they would pay for the whole thing because I drove. And so there's this question, should men always pay on the first date? And my experience says no, not always. In the research, the number one predictor for divorce is how couples talk about money. And I find it interesting that a smaller part of this question shows up in this first date. When you talk about who should pay for the first date, you're basically talking about finances. And it is an important question, not because of the practical action of whether you pay or not, but more about the meaning behind paying. It's more about a financial expectation in the relationship. So, for example, one argument I hear for the women's side is that it takes money for them to get ready, get dressed, do their hair, do their makeup, all that stuff. There is a cost to how they prepare and show up nice for the date. I don't represent all men, but if I were to hear that argument, my counter argument would be, I don't expect my dates to dress up nicely. And the reason behind that is because I care about who they are more than what they look like. Like, I've already seen probably their good photos on their dating app. I've already matched them because they've passed the looks test, right? Like, I think they're attractive enough. And so they don't have to do more to impress me about how they look. I think they're fine. Now I'm trying to figure out whether I actually like them as a person. And so you can hear me explaining my expectations. But in the real world, the problem arises because there's a mismatched expectation. Because expectations aren't universal, and not everyone expresses their expectations. Especially in dating, when people like to do this mind game dance, where no one really knows what's going on. I prefer chill dates if I'm getting to know someone. However, I could easily see someone saying, oh, like, he's not invested in this relationship because he's not even taking me to a nice place or not dressing up nicely or not covering the check. And part of me is just like, if we don't vibe that way, completely okay. However, if that expectation was not expressed to me because they think it should be common sense, I think there's a bigger issue behind that expectation. Maybe this example is more of a tangent, but when my girlfriend visited me, she asked if we can go on a date. I was going to take her to somewhere nice. However, she told me, she's like, can we just eat in, watch TV? Can we get some fried chicken? I was like, sure. And that's what we did. We had a good time. We watched a TV show. We ate some delicious fried chicken. And so I'm thankful that she expressed herself and what she wanted, because these conversations are super important. And I wonder how many people actually are honest and vulnerable before going on their first date, because they're trying to be cool, trying to be impressive. They're playing this game that's not themselves. And I think that's a little foolish, because you're trying to fall in love with someone for who they are, not who they're trying to be. Learn to have important conversations before you go on the date. I know dates are often a time to get to know each other, but I would also say with chatting, share a little bit about what you're looking for. Rather than having expectations, create a time that you both will enjoy rather than having these expectations and being disappointed.